Parks, what a bonus. So great to have your company. We're sponsored by Cameron Commercial Vehicles. If you want to get a quality new or used van, then Sean is your man. We're here in the Hummel Studios in Scotland, serving everybody near and far, Roughie. It's as simple as that. And what I can tell you is we've got a fabulous competition that we launched yesterday. It's on our YouTube channel homepage, and if you click on the link, you've got a chance to go and support Scotland. You and a pal, courtesy of Lucky Tiger, have a chance to go to see Scotland in those 3 group games against Haiti, Morocco, Brazil. Flights, accommodation, 14 nights accommodation and £1,000 spending money. All you have to do, click on the link. Exactly.
Give to a click.
This is not an asthma attack by Parksy. This is basically, speaking from experience, this is basically a chance to click on the link on the homepage in our YouTube channel. Good luck with that one. What a competition we've got. That's great, Roughie, isn't it?
Oh, when you think of all the money that the supporters are saying they're going to be spending, that is worth a lot more than what people think.
Absolutely. And I can tell you at this moment, our quiz, courtesy of Elite Joinery and Fire Protection, is an absolute belter because, quite simply, I'm going to test your knowledge, yours and, of course, Roughie's. And the question is, Derek McInnes and Hearts can brag that they have managed to beat Celtic and Rangers on a number of occasions, a record amount of occasions. I think it's 5 now this season. And with that, that's only been done, the last time it was done...
I know the answer.
You do?
Yeah.
Already? Okay then, keep it to the end of the thing. Roughie, you want to have a go? When was the last time a team was able to brag that they had beaten both Celtic and Rangers 5 times in a season?
We'll go 2002.
Mind-blowingly, you're miles out.
Yes. Absolutely.
Miles.
So we'll give you the answer.
We'll give you
5 years.
We'll give you the answer at the end of the day. You can give us your thoughts on it as well. Well, what a weekend it was. It was like it was a bank holiday Monday that we stretched all 6 games, and eventually we got a clear picture that of the 3 runners and riders for the title, one of them has fallen, and that team is Rangers. And am I jumping the gun on this one, Parksy, or are Rangers out of the title race?
To be fair, I've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks that Rangers don't have the appetite for the fight, and it was in full view yesterday. For 45 minutes, they could not muster up the enthusiasm against an opponent that really have a starvation there to go and deliver a title. And you saw it in every ounce of energy that they expended on that pitch, Hearts. And it was too much for a Rangers side going through a comfort zone, not prepared to push themselves through the pain. And they are what they are, mediocre, and it's over for them, and rightly so.
Roughie, do you buy into that?
Yeah, I would think so. I think to try and pick up 9 points with the evidence that's happened in the last 2 weeks, I can't see it at all. You know, I think Partsy's right. I think for 45 minutes, they were good. They were better than Hearts. But the second half, everyone fell about their ears as soon as that goal went in. As soon as that first goal went in, the old problem came up. You know, have certain players got that appetite to turn this around? And unfortunately for Rangers, they don't have enough players in that 11 to have the mentality to turn it around. For me, it is a mentality thing. I don't like using that bottling word, but it's a mentality thing when they get stage fright. It's great when everything's going well, but as soon as a wee buffer happens, they don't have the...
If you see, when you see, you'll know this, teams that go and win titles, you go through and identify personalities within the team, and they're standout leaders. Now, I've watched Rangers week in, week out now. I've seen very little personality. You need personality to go and win games at Tynecastle that hinges on your entire season. And where were they? They've been nowhere. I watched them against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock got a man sent off. They were fortunate. They scored late on in the battle of the goals, but they were fortunate. Dundee United, Motherwell, they've been really poor. And again, the one characteristic that I've observed with my own eyes is no personality or characters. And asking an 18-year-old kid to drag them off the canvas week in, week out. Unfortunately, yesterday, he ran up a Gorgie cul-de-sac. I don't know where he was yesterday, but everything was evident for me in that second half of where Rangers fall.
The character one, I agree with you in that one. I can honestly not remember any Rangers player having a go at each other. I can't remember anybody coming up and going, hey, you get your finger out.
Yeah.
Like Barry, John Brown, Richard Gough, anybody you want to name. You know, they don't
They don't have that sort of player.
No, they don't, and that's what they're lacking. They need somebody to grab somebody and say, "Hey, get your finger out here. This is do or die. We don't win the day it's curtains. So get your finger out."
Yeah. What about your prediction, Roughie?
Which one?
The prediction for Rangers against Hearts at Tynecastle.
Did I say Rangers to win?
Yes, you did.
Well,
yeah.
I was right for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yep, I called Celtic would win. I also called that Rangers would lose to Hearts. And basically, that's the way it turned out. I thought Hearts would sneak it. But the one thing I would say before we talk about the game in detail and the other games over the weekend, and give us your thoughts on it as well, thanks to so many people who are mentioning and joining us on the live feed here. Robert says, sadly, Rangers only have played for 45 minutes in the majority of games. Robert, you're not wrong. Both Rangers and Celtic, I can't think of either side having a solid 90 minutes throughout the season. Both teams, I think, are guilty of that. And again, I have to compliment the Hearts fans because they cranked it up. They had all that splendour at the start. They had Colin Chisholm out there singing the Hearts song, motivating everybody. Then they had the banners and the flags and, a tribute to Zaliukas, which was fantastic. Then everybody's waving the flags. The noise was absolutely incredible. The flamethrowers as well. It was absolutely brilliant. Unfortunately, the Hearts players who walked out, I think they get stage fright because they never kicked a ball. But I thought Rangers played some really good football in the first half. I thought they passed through them, and again, I've seen Rangers quite a lot this season. I thought they were torture to watch. They're poor to watch, but I thought they played not bad in that first half.
What they did well in the first half was exactly what they didn't do well against Motherwell. They were overmanned, outgunned, and there was an appetite, certainly in that first half, to get on the ball. And they did take responsibility for 45 minutes. Collectively, they were very good.
Yeah, but there's a guy out in the far right-hand side. I do not know how he gets a Rangers jersey.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
I thought he was a competition winner. Scott Olsen was absolutely a man down.
I'm going back to the PSG Bayern Munich game, which is the best of the best. And what you had was confidence from players going, just demonstrating how good they are. As a guy demonstrating just how poor he is, because he was not prepared to go one-on-one, which was isolated, opportunity to go and do it time after time, about turns and passes the ball back. Passenger, gutless, guys who there should be stepping up and demonstrating, I can go and show how good I am. He just showed, listen, it's cheating at the end of the day. It's a cheating. That guy.
Do you know what? Can I contest that with you? It's not cheating the side or cheating the fans out of it. No, I think he's just not good enough, Roughie. There are players who are just not good enough.
I agree with you, he's just not good enough. But how can a manager leave a guy out for 3 or 4 games and then decide to throw him into that one?
Yeah.
How can you say you're not good enough for all these games? Well, now possibly one of the most important games I'm going to play you.
Roughie, he's sitting watching him get the ball one-on-one and time and again turning back and playing the safe option. Now, cheating's a word that it's a football term. It's not. I'm talking about.
No, I get where you're coming from. I just don't think he's good enough. There's lots of players who are signed, Parksy, and you think to yourself,
telling me
he cannot believe that he's signed for Rangers. He just wasn't good enough. There are some players who just can't fill a jersey, and he's not one. See, when you look at Rangers sides of the past, and this is very difficult for Danny Röhl because he inherited a team of, I can't even say underachievers, failures. Teams that have actually failed to step up to the plate time and time again. Now, when you're a team who can win a title, you've got to have players who can change the game, who can make 2-on-1s, who can deliver balls into the box and have strikers who can score goals. Now, Rangers were fortuitous in the first half for one element, which was it's a big long throw, and a flick on, a shot, a deflection, they get the goal. But they did play some nice football, but it wasn't killer football. And the facts are there for all Rangers fans. They're not fooled by it. They're not fooled by it right now. I think a lot of Rangers fans, surprisingly for me, are just starting to turn on Danny Röhl. They weren't good enough.
The manager's accountable because you have to put demands on players. Certainly, again, it's back to Halcyon.
Did you think they were title winners?
At no point, and I've consistently said they're miles away from it, because my evidence of my own eyes is lacking character, mediocre throughout the team. Guys like Niko Raskin, invisible at times. But the manager has to go and put demands. Jim McLean used to fine you or threaten to take you off. You get 5 minutes. Andy McClam will tell you that. John O'Neill will tell you that. Alan Preston will tell you that. If you're not prepared to go at your full-back and get crosses in, if you're not prepared to take responsibility and go and try and be clever, you're off the pitch. Danny Röhl accepts mediocrity. And that's the problem. And like manager after manager at Rangers, that acceptance of the mediocre is what will come and cost them.
I think one person that's been right for the start is Alec Ray about Raskin.
Which is what?
He just not got the quality to play for Rangers. He might have it once or twice. He's not a leader. He's not a leader on the park.
He's not been right from the start. He's called Rangers to win the league.
Yeah, well, he's had a go at Raskin. He's told Raskin is not the kind of midfield that Rangers should be having. They should be having a guy who's influenced Rangers going forward, not just down the sides. And that's all he does. He decides what games he's going to be, not the star, but the main man. But unfortunately, he's not the main man in the big games.
There's also the problem that he was identified as a bad apple. And the stories came out during the Russell Martin era, which Niko Raskin didn't cover himself in glory internally within the dressing room. They turned the mute button down on that, and it's no longer spoken about.
Yeah, but he buckled down.
This is a dressing room that's...
he buckled down. They were talking about a couple of weeks ago giving him a new deal.
Sorry, Peter, but again, I go to games and whoever's talking about a new deal, it doesn't know this, it isn't watching the same game that I'm watching.
Yeah.
There's just not enough. And there are moments. And that's why he plays for Belgium, because he raises his game. But that's exactly what I don't want in the Rangers dressing room. Somebody that gives you moments.
Well, listen, there was not enough players that could give them moments, because I think I never thought Rangers were going to win the title at all. I didn't think they had it. I didn't think they had a goal scorer. I've said it regularly on this programme. I thought their football at times was dull to watch, but Danny Röhl deserved credit for actually shutting the back door and getting some results, and to get them to a point where they were contesting the title. Remember, by the way, we're talking about a side who were absolutely inept under Russell Martin. Right. So suddenly, in this season of all seasons of excitement but not great quality in football, they're in the mix. It was a 3-horse race, and Rangers, the remit was go to Tynecastle, win and fire yourself back into the title. Now, I have to tell you, after the first 45 minutes, I'm looking and saying to myself, Hearts can't be that bad again. So let's flip it and talk about the team that is within 3 games of the title. I think it's all right. You can analyse Rangers and how inept they are and what they're missing. But Hearts come out in the second half, Roughie. And again, if you're talking about Skov Olsen, I mean, I turned round to the journalist who was sitting next to me and I said, Kizzery just hadn't done anything. I mean, he'd just done nothing. And then he goes into the box, goes past the man, hits the post, and Kingsley gets the equaliser. But in the second half, they were at it.
Yeah, and that's the difference. That's why they're there. You know, they seem to have the ability to be at it at the right time. But a lot of, like, the Rangers in particular, you know, they're helping them being at it. You know, if you look through the goals, you know, why would you let him check in his left foot? You know, and okay, fair dues to Kingsley, he took it particularly well. But see the second goal?
Yeah.
Look where the 2 Rangers centre-halves are. They back off into the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
And the top striker is hovering about the penalty spot. Why not go to him? They seem to just back off him, and he does a terrific finish for the way it came at him. But no, you have to give them credit. You really do, and I think all the failures are in the Rangers side.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, when he scored that second goal, I mean, the roof came off the place, Parksy. It was unbelievable. The atmosphere was absolutely incredible.
Right, there was a moment in the first half, towards the end of the first half, that he got the ball passed round him and you could see his frustration, and he was audible. Derek McInnes has already said that players dug each other out at half time. I guarantee you he was the one that did. Lawrence Shankland is a total, a talisman, so respected within that dressing room, that he delivered by example. And his link-up play, his determination to work, to cajole, that's why Hearts are sitting top of the table, because they've got that within their DNA, and as a leader.
I mean, what a week for them, by the way.
Fantastic.
I mean, Player of the Year, Braga. Manager of the Year, Derek McInnes at the PFA Scotland Awards. And then, you know, when you're looking at that post-split, you were thinking, how many games can they go on here?
Here's the sad part. It's still not going to be enough for them. Sadly.
You think Celtic are going to win it?
I do.
Well, listen, I have to say to you, having watched Hearts in the second half, I think Hearts are going to win it, because I think they can lose. They can still lose 2 games, Roughie, and go to Celtic Park and have to win. some people would turn around and say, okay, that's a tall order, but they've still got that 5-goal advantage at the moment. It could be whittled away if they lost 2 games. Obviously, from Celtic's point of view, and I don't think it's a done deal, I think it's tight. But I thought in the second half they showed tremendous spirit. I think Derek McInnes was right at the tail end, when he came into the press room, just basically to say, the players in the second half came out, they deserve tremendous credit. The fans were absolutely magnificent. He was right to highlight all the positives in that team, and he's hoping he can get Harry Milne and Cammy Devlin back for these 3 games, which are absolutely massive. But right now, I think even Braga, when he came into the press conference, was saying, listen, we're taking it 1 game at a time. We're just focusing on this, but we know it's close. We know what we have to do. The spirit in the camp is unbelievable. That's what I think is great about this. Derek was emphasising the fact that they got 76 points. I mean, it's just fantastic.
Well, we always say in the game, it's momentum takes you through. And Hearts have got the momentum. Celtic are there. They're struggling. Not momentum, I would say. They're scraping it. They've been doing it for the last wee while, But at the end of the day, there's a lot of their players been there and done it before. So that's probably why Parksy thinks they're still in it. Obviously, game by game.
Roughie, Hearts have found it difficult to go away and pick up.
Yeah, I know.
How difficult it's going to be in a Saturday night with that pressure again?
Yeah, I mean, they've got to deal with it. Just to get back to Hearts again, I thought the Hearts manager did a tremendous judgment in putting on Blair Spittle.
Yeah, he had to in the middle of the park. They were getting passed out of the park.
Big influence in the game, the way he plays the game. He was bringing people into it, and he was obviously chipping in his cell with shots here and there. And, I thought he was a big player for them. So they've got him, and as you're saying, if they get the other 2 fit. But you're right. Can you imagine walking out at Park? No, I think I noticed about the Hearts team. I've never seen that before. I've saw it in European games, but I've never saw it in the Scottish games. The players come on with their kids before the game at the lineup. They brought all their kids on.
There's a lot of elements to that.
They brought all their kids on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know. There was one wee kids obviously realised the noise and everything. He had a pair of headphones on so he couldn't hear anything. It's
Peter.
Me with my scarf.
I mean, I don't know how that was thought out as well. Let's bring your kids on, well, that relaxes you a wee bit. You're walking on with your.
I think they wanted. I don't know. How do you know it was their kids?
I mean, like how?
Yeah.
Let's put it in context.
It'd be a really good one if it was the kids.
It would be, because they're trying to get that whole family feel. They're trying to actually include everybody in it. I think the PR from a Hearts perspective is absolutely incredible in this one. I must admit, I'm looking at it, Parksy, and you're talking about, and you've been damning in your assessment of Rangers, which I think everybody is. Just out of curiosity, do you think the point here? Do you think there'll be a clamour now for Danny Röhl not to continue as Rangers manager?
Can you keep changing? You can't keep changing managers. I'm impressed with him. I thought he brought a stability to them initially, but to trumpet the fact that he's pulled his Rangers highly assembled, costing Rangers team into a title fight, and what has been a title fight, which is really a title fight because it has been mediocre.
Yeah, I mean, he spent about 40 mil.
Is his job at risk?
I don't think so, do
If
you?
there's money coming in, no, I don't think his job at risk. But if there's big money coming in, if they're prepared to go and invest properly, give him a chance. No doubt about it.
I think he deserves a summer, Roughie. I think he's got, I think he deserves a summer to actually get to a situation where, he can bring in even more of his own style of player, and get rid of some of the dross. There'll be loan signings that won't be coming back to Rangers as well. But the other aspect of this, which I think a lot of people will be critical of, they've got £40 million worth of talent that they've spent in a season, and this is where I think there is mounting criticism. He spent a lot of money in a season where Celtic have dismantled the side in front of the manager's eyes, and Hearts haven't spent even a fraction of the money, and suddenly they're at the top of the table.
Yeah, but I think he had to spend the money to get them out of where they were. They were distant. They were at one stage we were talking about them being 4th, 5th in the league. At least he's come in and made a difference. They started winning games, which is always important to the supporters. Not winning enough games latterly, But certainly, if you looked at them halfway through the season, you would have to say they're better than what they were.
What would worry me, Roughie, is he's only brought one player and it's made a difference. It looked a better player than was already there, which is a hard thing to do, and it was Rubens. I can't think of anybody that he's brought in and identified personally, so that would worry me. Bit of a red flag, I would say.
There's a lot of people obviously offered their thoughts on this. Thanks very much to so many of you. Seth 1981 says, big deal. Many seasons have Celtic and Rangers beaten Hearts. If Celtic and Rangers were even half decent, Hearts would be nowhere. We'll see next week, Peter. Listen, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion on this. If Celtic fans are looking and saying, you know, that they're going to win the league, all well and good, because it's now a two-horse race, so you've got the chance to brag for your side by all means. You might not like the opinion of some of us on who we think is going to win the league. You might like Parksy's assessment of it. It's all about opinions on this one. David Bradley says his signings have been shocking, Peter. This is, of course, about Danny Röhl. I mean, some of the players, Brian says, Hearts are top because of how poor Celtic and Rangers have been this season. Yeah, that's not Hearts' fault, though. That's about every business in life has to try and do their absolute best. Some signings don't work out. Sometimes managers don't work out. Sometimes you have a change in a board. Sometimes you have a board under pressure. Sometimes you have fans who want the board out. This has been the mother of all seasons of madness. You know, you've got a club chasing Hearts who actually have got a group of supporters who want the board out. They want the majority shareholder out. And they're now looking and saying to themselves, well, there's only 4 games left for them, 3 league games and a Scottish Cup final, and they're not happy with them because they think they shouldn't be in this position with a tight title run against Hearts.
Yeah, that will fester at the end of the season, whether they win the Cup or the league. You know, there's a certain segment of the fans digging in there and they want changes. Majority of the fans will be celebrating if you win the last game of the season, which is the Scottish Cup. Majority of fans will think, oh, we're all right, we're great, we've got a cup. So that will be taken into consideration. No, I think although Rangers and Celtic have been poor this year, you have to give Hearts credit. Obviously, the Tony Bloom thing comes in, you know, the analytics thing. You know, would they have the same players coming in if they weren't there? So that's a bonus. They've went a step in the right direction. So it's not Hearts' fault that Rangers and Celtic have been very, very poor.
Well, for that game last night, it was the biggest occasion in Gorgie for many a year. It's probably one of the biggest, most looked forward to, anticipated game in a long time.
Yeah.
And it was brilliant to have that, especially on a bank holiday.
It was brilliant to see it from a global situation as well. People are looking in. Now, I am almost certain the football purists are looking and saying they're actually playing football from a bygone era, because it's not great to watch.
It's presenting the best of our game. The colour and the carnival and the whole energy into that game and everything before it is exactly what Scottish football should be producing, presenting itself the best of.
Yeah,
Hearts haven't signed empty jerseys, Rangers have. That's the difference.
Derek McInnes also, I did ask him if he thought it was going to go down to the last day, and he fully expects it to go down to the last day. He's preparing for it down to the last day. Now, dare I say it, and this is the only thing now before we obviously we've assessed Hearts, and great credit to them, and I think they'll win the league, because I think they can engineer it to get themselves in a position where, you know, they'll go into that final game against Celtic with a 3-point advantage and a goal difference that would need Celtic to do it. You might think differently. Where are you now, Roughie? Because you've been Rangers for the last couple of months.
No.
And your horse has now fallen. And by the way, don't try and quantify it. No, somebody said to me, and I have to read this out, I can't remember it verbatim, right? But somebody said to me the other day there, just as we'd finished the show, you know, he said, Peter, you're a wee arrogant bee. He was really nasty, but I didn't mind. He said, you're a wee arrogant bee. You just belittle Roughie's opinion. Well, Roughie, yeah, got it wrong.
I've went for Celtic a month ago. I had the right to change.
And then you changed too?
No, I'm still with Celtic. No, really. Do you think I went for...
You said you thought Rangers were winning.
No, I did not. You'll have to check that. There's no way.
You said the momentum was with Rangers.
No, well, momentum might be with them, but didn't say they were going to win it.
Listen, we can always look back at the tape.
I have to get the tape.
We'll look back at the tape.
I don't think I went for Rangers. If you show me I went for Rangers, I'll hold my hands up. But
you will have to hold your hands up. I was on the bloody show looking at you.
No, I'm not having that.
We're talking about last week. You says, I'm thinking Rangers are going to win it.
How could they have momentum when Motherwell's just beat them? So they've not got momentum. So
That's a fair point.
I don't.
No, this is prior to Motherwell.
Right, okay.
You know.
All right.
So,
no, I'm not having that.
No,
Unless you produce the evidence.
So just out of curiosity, who you think's going to win it now?
Celtic in the last day.
What? Yeah. Right.
And I honestly think Motherwell have got something to say about this. I know they went off the boil a wee bit, but they've still got the Hibs thing.
There's a school of thought, and I think it's true, that Hearts' challenge last night is not as great as it will be on Saturday. Now,
But you're saying their away game isn't.
I think it's a bigger challenge for them, a bigger test. I think Rangers were really effective at doing what they were in the first half, but I think what they've got facing them on Saturday is far greater. It's not a good Rangers side. I've said it a million times. Motherwell are a better team.
Flying Haggis, brilliant. I love it. He says Peter is the football podcaster version of David Brent. I'm happy with that, Flying Haggis. I don't mind. Listen, there's lots of, and by the way, thanks to Jimbo who says you are Peter. He obviously thinks I'm an arrogant bee. So there you are, Roughie. Which I don't mind as long as you don't say it on the feed, because obviously people are reading it, you know, and you obviously try and keep people
sometimes you can't
decent.
argue with people.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, Roughie. Well, listen, the good thing about our programme, the T-Dog says, Roughie has said Celtic all season, and Chris says, I'm sure Roughie is right here. Believe me, I can tell you right now, he's changed that many times. Honestly, he's been on the whirlies roundabout that many times.
I hope the last game does go down to goal difference. How exciting would that?
Listen, let's hope it goes down to the last
You've
game.
been there the last time.
Well, here, I'm going to say this to you. I did say to somebody who was a Jambo yesterday as I was walking out, and they were like, oh, you know, we're getting close. And I looked and I was chatting to him, and I said to the guy, it could go down to goal difference. You know, it's 5 goals in your favour at the moment. I said, but 1965, lost in goal difference to Kilmarnock for the title. 1986, lost in goal difference to Celtic. And now it's a situation where I firmly believe that most Hearts fans, apart from a generation of maybe a percentage of doubters, but I think most Hearts fans now are looking saying, we're going to win the title.
I hope they do. And I saw the faces yesterday, and I see the real anxiety in those closing moments from the balls. I see the faces, and I know the club, the area, the devotion they have for it. You felt the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I really hope you're right. I don't think you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because the biggest challenges are still ahead.
The biggest change for the ones that you've said there, the goal difference thing, it's on their own hands the last game if it's goal difference. They're not relying on another game down the road. So it's up to them on the day against Celtic to make sure goal difference isn't going to be effective.
Can I ask you this, Roughie? And this is the big question. As I look now, and I'm just looking at the games coming up, and obviously from that point of view, I'm going to ask you this. Of the games coming up, Celtic, Rangers and Hearts have to go to Fir Park. Now, let's just assess, and this is another question where I am amazed, you know, because usually you deal with the facts and you look at what you're watching, and usually you assess players and think to yourself, okay, I'll give you my overview, and you're hard-hitting, which is fine, you've been a great signing for us this season. Bordering on lunacy and obviously annoy people. Roughie, bordering on lunacy, but everybody loves you. The point is this. Hibs against Celtic. Celtic are ranked rotten. I mean, honestly, they were against 10 men and can't beat 10 men. They struggled until the very last, albeit a dodgy goal from Hibs that shouldn't have stood. But they weren't great. They absolutely struggled to beat Hibs. Again, they're relying on, yet again, Martin and Roughie throwing on a 34-year-old and throwing on Iheanacho, hoping his hamstrings hold up and he scores the goal again.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. Although we're saying that Rangers are lacking in certain characters, I think Celtic fall into that category as well. They don't have that many match winners that they used to have.
Can you see them scoring 5 goals against somebody?
No, I can't. At home, no, against Hearts in the last game.
No, can you see them scoring 5 goals in their next game against Rangers, or 4 or 3? Can you see them going to Fir Park and spanking Motherwell to reduce this goal difference?
No, I can see them beating Rangers 2-1, and I can see Hearts going to Motherwell and maybe getting a draw. And that would sort of break it a wee bit.
Yeah, and then
the next game is Celtic versus second last game.
And then the next game after that, it's Hearts against Falkirk at home at
Hearts
Tynecastle.
will win.
If we would agree with this, if Hearts go to Motherwell and win,
Yeah.
the title's theirs.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't think they will, though.
You think they'll lose at Motherwell?
I don't think, listen, I think they probably lose, but they'll get a draw. I don't think they'll go there and win, because I think the challenge there is greater. There's no pressure on Motherwell to the extent that I know there's pressure, but not the same anywhere near what Hearts have got.
But they've still got a
Against
chance to
better
go
team.
to Celtic Park and win the
I
title.
don't think that's possible.
They've got 2 punches here at this.
Are you telling me, with the greatest respect, if it's a final day showdown, that I don't think Celtic lose that game?
Well, can I tell you something? I don't think Celtic lose the game. I agree with you on that. But I think if it's down to goal difference and level points, I think Hearts can win it. I think Hearts will beat Motherwell, and I think they'll beat Falkirk. There you are.
So you're saying it is goal difference the last game?
It's going to be goal difference, and I don't know if Celtic can score the goals.
I can't see Celtic beating Hearts at Parkhead by more than 2 goals.
Can you see
I
Celtic
can see
beating
2-0.
Rangers?
What?
You see Celtic beating Rangers?
Yeah, just
2-1.
2-1.
What did you make of the game against Hibs?
Laborious. They started with Tynecastle on the left-hand side, and again he's got the Olsen problem. He refuses to go by his man down the side. I thought that was the story of them. They were out of ideas, relying on the same candidates to go and deliver for them. Maida did that again, and he actually did it again. They were laboured, inspiring moments, not enough. I think teams that are going for the title need to be at it.
Yeah.
And they were far from at it.
It was an interesting one. I was up in Dundee on Sunday with Stephen Presley. I was chatting to him, and Stephen Presley said, you know, it's difficult. He said, you can line up against Rangers and you can line up against Celtic and you know how to set yourself out. He says, but with Hearts you don't. He says, because they've got too many variations of it. They're able to change it and mix it, he said, and they're not quite the conventional side where you know Celtic are going to go pass. You know Rangers are going to go set piece. You know, that's the kind of I'm oversimplifying it, but that's very much what they're about. That's their style if you were trying to sum them up. But he says Hearts have got something different. So, you know, that's why it's so interesting to see how the games are going to pan out. And all the onus is on Celtic to somehow come up with the goals.
You see, the versatility that Hearts have got has been their strength this season. But if you're looking at Sunday's performance for Celtic, the centre-half stopped the game too much. They stop the game, they're dwelling in possession too much. You have to have an urgency at this stage of the season.
Yeah.
Even in the 60th minute, when things are going wrong for Celtic and they're making hard work of this, there's still that kind of laboured, stopping play, content to keep, nothing passes. That has to change. If Celtic are going to win the title and win these 3 games, they have to lift the vibe around the whole performance.
Thanks to Patrick, who says, most Celtic fans know the team is rotten, Peter. I'm just amazed they're still in the hunt. Motherwell fixtures decide the league. Hearts don't win at Celtic Park. Patrick, I mean, that's a very good point. Brian says Stephen Welsh could be the kingmaker. It won't be against Celtic because he won't be playing. And of course, Kenny, who's in America, in Los Angeles, saying, what do you all sound like? A bunch of wee excited loons. Hearts are unbeaten against the remaining 3 clubs to play, Motherwell, Falkirk and Celtic. And of course, listen, that's the thing about it. They managed to defeat Motherwell, they managed to defeat Hibs, they managed to defeat Rangers. And Jazz says, I love everybody writing Celtic off, so it's going to be sweet. Listen, I have to say to you, it's the thing that I think a lot of Celtic fans are holding on to. The Flying Harry says it's going to be the last game. I think I can see Celtic winning by a few on Sunday and Hearts winning the night before. And Boris, and I'm going to read Boris's out because you've got it in the neck. I've got it in the neck. And this is Boris. He says, Parksy, take your Celtic jersey off. Hearts have won the league.
Is it Boris?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of the name, I'm going to be honest. But let me just clarify.
Don't buy into names. There's nobody on. There's very few people, apart from Kenny, who's a Dons fan. There's very few people who've even got the balls to put their real name on this YouTube. They are keyboard warriors.
Boris, let me just assure you, right? I've never ever been a Celtic fan. Never cared about Celtic. I only allow my judgment to be what my eyes tell me. Is what my opinion is formed with, not about colours of jersey. And the fact is, 2 mediocre teams, but Celtic, marginally better. And they will, I think, come to the fore when it matters most, and that's why they get the edge for me. And I also think that the bigger ask was Hearts to go to Motherwell this weekend, and I don't think it's going to end well for them. That's it.
I did mention Roughie.
By the way, and I hope Hearts win the league, there you go, but I don't think they will.
Okay, I actually looked at the other games, Roughie, over the course of, and I'd be remiss of us not just to mention quite a few things that took place. Well done to Steve Clark, who actually got the Special Merit Award at the PFA Scotland Player of the Year night in Glasgow at the Hilton Hotel. And well done to Mikey Moore, who got the Young Player of the Year. Of the other games, Roughie, Dundee 1, St Mirren 0. St Mirren are in trouble.
I'm not in trouble, but obviously I just saw the highlights and they're still digging in there. They still had chances against.
They were poor.
I know they were poor. They weren't where they were at the beginning, but they're not getting battered by anybody. They're just not getting a wee break here and there, and that can change very, very quickly. But it needs to happen very quickly, because you're right. Once you're down there and you're not winning games, and you're saying to yourself, "Oh, we're not getting the breaks," and that just.
I got a phone call Saturday morning for John Hillcoat. John Hillcoat, the keeper of many clubs. You know, John.
Big St Mirren fan.
Quote was, he's seen every game this season with St Mirren. His quote was, "I cannot see St Mirren winning another game this season."
Has he given you a quote on the Craig McLeish appointment?
He really likes him, and he knows people around the club, and he's highly thought of. But it's
Is it a gamble?
huge gamble. Huge gamble. You need a steadying hand in times of crisis, and by Jove, or St Mirren in a crisis.
Yeah. Obviously, quite a lot of people are saying is this one here is Tam off on holiday at the moment. No, Tam's not off on holiday. Basically, what we have now, and over the 14 years, we've had a lot of really, a lot of really strong, committed pundits who are here regularly during the season, who stay on the programme through thick and thin, because you've got to stay on it throughout the season, especially one as exciting as this. But in the last couple of years, Roughie has basically decided he's having 5 holidays a year, so he buggers off. And now, over and above that, Tam has decided, oh, well, if Roughie can do it, I'll go and play golf today. So that's where we're at.
Am I the Impact sub?
No, you
never told me that.
No, you are one of these guys who's looking for a first team jersey constantly. so you are in there.
And I've always failed to get one, let's be honest. So.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, I'm trying to actually get you into reliable Parksy, and you're doing it. But he's golfing. Simple as that.
You gave him the freedom of this golf day because it affected the show.
Yes. He's golfing with one of our sponsors.
There you go.
There you go. He's taking one. He's taking one for the team, and hopefully he'll get us another 3 years on that one. And also, by the way, there's a good point from Paul Baird, who says Celtic should also have had a penalty against Hibs. I mean, honestly, Roughie, and the guy just pushed Negrin right out of the park. I mean, it was a stone waller. I mean, I don't know what the referees are thinking. Is that the
one where they were having a go at Maeda for putting the ball against the boy and taking him out?
No, he's going to the corner.
Yes.
But Maeda kicked the ball and it hit the Hibs.
We're now in a climate of VAR, but don't believe your lying eyes, because you've actually seen the ball hit a hand.
No, according to VAR.
Where are we going? I can't understand it.
Did you not think Joe Newell's was a penalty? That was a goal should have been chalked off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the one. That's the one that we're gobsmacked by.
I don't even think it. I saw it. So I'm now in the realms of, did I actually see that hit his hand? I did twice, actually.
Yeah.
Where's the debate?
Somebody actually came out with a comment was it's not conclusive.
Hits
him twice.
Yeah, I thought the push on.
It doesn't even maybe hit him. It hits him twice.
I thought the push on Negrin was another one. So that was a good point. Well. Quite a lot of people are thinking to themselves, hey, is Tam going to wriggle out of this if Hearts win the league? Not a chance, because what we're going to do is we're going to get Tam in here, full kit, Hearts kit. And again, my wife's a bit of a softie on this, Roughie, which I'm not happy about. She doesn't like to see you guys being out of pocket, whereas I really couldn't care. Tam will buy the Hearts top, the shorts and the socks. And then what we'll do is we'll get him to sign them, and or we'll just get him to take them off and give them away to somebody, because it's going to be, I mean, what a day. Hearts, the full kit, the shinnies, the boots.
If Hearts actually do win the league before the Celtic game, I think...
Go on.
Full strip outside Parkhead, just wishing the Hearts supporters all the best.
Folk can throw rotten fruit at them and stuff like that. Got that like
Stocks.
Yeah.
Yes,
Stocks would be a good idea.
I'd have to say I like your idea of Tam going with the full Hearts kit outside Celtic Park. That's a really good shout. I'm not sure he'll buy into it, to be honest with you, but nevertheless, thanks to so many of you for your messages. Interestingly enough, and I say this with when you think about the costs that are involved with regards to the World Cup. If you go on to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We're delighted that you're joining the PLZ family. There's lots of big things coming up in the summer, lots of things happening that I think you're going to enjoy. As far as the World Cup's concerned, with Lucky Tiger, one of our sponsors, giving you the chance to actually enter the prize draw. And there's 3 pairs of tickets. Scotland against Haiti, Scotland, as you can see in the background, against Morocco, Scotland against Brazil. So it's 3 pairs of tickets, flights, accommodation for 14 nights, and £1,000 spending.
Wow!
And the good,
Never told us that.
well, the other good thing.
That is the best prize ever in the long term, isn't it?
Well, not only that, but £1,000, the way things are going, will get you a bus ride to one of the games, and then 25p change.
I see the supporters are way ahead of themselves as well. That a segment of them, about 100 of them, have bought the school buses. The school buses.
Oh, the yellow ones, yeah.
The yellow ones, they bought them for transport from where they are to the games.
That's a good idea, isn't it? I love the Tartan Army. They're so innovative.
Way ahead,
Yep, they're you've got to work out ways to try and get round it all. But listen, courtesy of Lucky Tiger, on our homepage, there's the link. Click on it, boom, in prize draw, and good luck to you. I think it's a great prize to go to the World Cup and support Scotland. 14 nights accommodation, £1,000 spending.
When does the winner get announced?
24th of May on Lucky Tiger's channel. It's going to be the official draw. So I presume you're going to go in.
I'm not going to lie, I'll just declare that right now.
Yeah, I think there'll be more than a few pals will be having a bash at it. But thankfully, there's an independent draw on the 24th, and good luck to you if you're on it. Can I just say, John Boy says, if it comes down to goal difference, that Newell goal and penalty Celtic should have had could be pivotal where the trophy goes. It could be that VAR decided who won the league. By the way, I'm not going to argue with you. That's the problem with it. St Mirren, who've been one of the most wrong teams this year, could be relegated off the back of week after week earlier on in the season of incompetency.
I think that's the galling bit for the managers that are surface of it, and St Mirren were one of them. You could see the effect it was beginning to have. It's not just this one, it's last week and what about the week before that. So I think managers will be seriously, particularly when it's getting so close to the end of the season. You don't want anything drastically that happening.
Can you say congratulations to Motherwell, say congratulations to Falkirk, I beg your pardon. John McGlynn, not only nominated for Manager of the Year, but they've had 3 wins and a draw against Motherwell. They've had the Indian sign over them.
Yeah, they certainly have, and they have been a joy to watch. I mean, I don't buy into, as you know, when the Player of the Year comes round, to teams that have been kicking above their weight, but certainly John McGlynn has done that this year.
Yeah. From
where they've came from to where they are now is absolutely remarkable, and I can't remember ever, maybe you could tell me if I'm wrong here, I can't remember them spending money on anybody. I know they've got a lot of loan players, but I can't remember them shelling any kind of money out that anybody else has.
And of course, nine Scots at one point in the game the other week. Yeah, great credit to them, and of course, great credit to Motherwell. They have gone off the boil a wee bit, Parksy.
They have. I watched them on Saturday. Had a lot of good moments. Falkirk, Barney Stewart genuinely could have scored 6 or 7 goals. I know that
I agree.
ridiculous.
No, I saw them. Some of them were absolutely full-on chances.
Imagine strengthening his claim for a Scotland place after scoring 10.
I don't think he'll be putting a video out of them.
No, and that's, they could have been buried, Motherwell, under the chances that he missed a loan. But Motherwell back at their home. Paul McGinn spoke about getting back under the lights on their own surface. It changes Motherwell as a team because I don't think they like the surface. Motherwell's got the hex on them for a reason, because of that pitch is a big, big factor. They know how to play it, but Falkirk, brilliant.
Well, Falkirk on the grass at Fir Park, suffered a first half mauling and then come back and beat them.
Yeah, did.
So great credit to John McGlynn. Great credit to Neil McCann. 3-0 over Dundee United. Suddenly they're now in 10th. They've dropped St Mirren into the 11th place. and he's getting a trick out of them. Him and Billy Dodds
knows the
credit.
game. Doddsy knows the game, respected, and get back to basics at Kilmarnock, and that's been enough for them. That's what I'm saying about St Mirren. Got a manager there that hasn't never been in the movie before.
Yeah, Livingston 2, Aberdeen 2. I think Marvin Bartley deserves a little pat on the back. I'm being nice as I get to the end of this programme today because he got a trick out of Livingston. It just wasn't enough in the end. They're relegated.
I don't think there's been a team relegated with such marginal defeats. They've not taken pacings week in, week out. They've 1-0s, 2-1s, one each. I think if you look at not winning a game since August tells its own story, but sad to see Livy go down because I like them.
Yeah, and there'll be a big clear out at Pittodrie.
Can you say about Livingston, they've also got a new owner that's committed, and I heard him speaking about the club in the future and all that. It should not always be the kind of prophecy of doom, the catastrophe that Aberdeen, massive problems. I would expect influx of lower league English players at any point. So.
I was speaking to, I don't know if you spoke to him today. Willie Miller was there.
Oh, name dropping, eh?
Somebody asked him the question about a new stadium. Says no chance.
No. Okay.
Too much money. Talking about 100 million, and the council just won't back them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a blow. Of course, Dundee are trying to get a new stadium as well and new training facilities. That was something that Stephen Presley mentioned at the weekend. I'm going to give a mention, I have to say, to Mr. Sings, because there was more than a few stars out there. Alan Hansen, you were there, Roughie. John Bomber Brown, I hadn't seen him in ages. Ian Ferguson, and also Ian Ferguson who played for Dundee United, Hearts and Rangers. And who else was it? Kenny Dalglish was there.
Sir Kenny.
Alex McLeish. Yeah, okay.
McLeish was there. Yeah, big gathering. I think.
Did you partake of lunch?
I didn't.
No. Can I reveal why not?
No.
No. You're not feeling well at the moment.
No, I wasn't. I just went out and sort of overdone it at the weekend. So no, looking at a curry just didn't
sit well at 12:30 in the afternoon.
No, it certainly did.
Yeah.
Maka was there.
Oh, Maka was there. Yeah, the official podcast nominee.
Yes. And your pal was there away in the corner. Did you not see him?
Who's that?
David Tanner.
No, I didn't see him. No. I didn't
Just
see
as
him.
well.
What was the event? What was the occasion?
It was launching Sati Singh's new food venture for some stores.
Yeah, Mr. Singh's.
Mr. Singh's.
Yeah, at Mr. Singh's and at the Singh's food
they're
chain.
launching a new food store for certain stores.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, we've been positive about a lot of managers there. John McGlynn, we're talking about Stephen Presley will keep Dundee up. It's an absolute certainty. I did mention that. Kilmarnock, Neil McCann. This great season of excitement, maybe not quality football, but certainly excitement, has got us all on tenterhooks. Who's going to win the league now? One horse has fallen. Rangers are out of it, unless you're going to tell us otherwise. But it's now between Celtic and Hearts. Hearts have the horse out in front. I think they're going to gallop towards the finishing line and win it. What do you think? The answer to the quiz, Roughie, because quite simply, it was what season? Come on, don't
way
bother
back
telling
with
me.
Kilmarnock and all that time, the last question.
What was the answer, Roughie? Come on.
It was Kilmarnock as a way back in the 60s.
1960.
No. 1982-83 season under Fergie. Honestly.
So it was.
See you.
So it was, because I mentioned it in Sky last night.
Yes, exactly. You're hopeless.
So it was.
Honestly, you're sitting there with your condescending look and you've got it wrong.
Yeah, you can't get them all right.
Yeah, exactly. 82-83 Fergie. And by the way, I had a wee chat with somebody today. It wasn't serious with Sir Alex. Obviously, they had to monitor him and make sure that he's okay. And fingers crossed, Roughie, there's no real fallout from it, just precautionary, as everybody had mentioned ahead of that Man United-Liverpool game.
Yeah, it's good. It looks as if he's beginning to take in a lot of games. He's going to a different game every week, so that's great. The age he is, and obviously the past history that he's had. So let's hope he can continue to go to the games.
Oh, can I just mention something? And I have to say, and I've witnessed it at the last minute there from Ian Docherty, who says, Peter, can you give a mention to Cutty Young, who passed away recently? He was a great guy. And I have to say, I'm glad you mentioned that, Ian, because when I was a kid, Cutty Young was, again, of a generation where you had brilliant wingers. You had Jimmy Johnson, you had Tommy McLean, you had Willie Henderson, and Cutty Young of that generation playing for Rangers is a great player.
Parksy spoke about it at the beginning of the season. There's not enough entertainers. There's not enough people like him playing at Rangers and Celtic who are prepared to go by people and create havoc, and that's why he obviously got the move to Rangers.
Yeah, absolutely. If Cutty Young was playing at the moment, he'd be tearing it up against the standard that we are witnessing at the moment. So, Ian, I'm glad you did mention that, and our thoughts and prayers go out to all of Cutty Young's family and friends at this time. Another one of those legends that's taken away too quickly, but left a legacy of great memories, because if you love players who can actually drop the shoulder, go past a player, cross the ball into the box, remember, football hasn't been reinvented. These guys actually played it and gave us so much enjoyment, and I'm glad Ian mentioned that there. I'm sorry to hear that he'd passed away. Great footballers, that's what this channel's about, talking about great footballers, talking about teams, talking about the excitement of this season. Get onto our homepage, subscribe to us please, but if you want to enter that competition from Lucky Tiger, you've got a chance to get to the World Cup in those 3 Scotland group games, 14 nights accommodation and £1,000 spending money, as Parksy said. Oh, wow. Usually I say wow when it's a rotten raffle prize, but today that's the berries. Thanks to Roughie, thanks to Parksy, from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks to you for listening and watching.